Ego, Slendy, Ego, Slendy, ayy. Hit it out the park. Hit it with a strike. From the national anthem to the bottom of the ninth. I've been Slendy, Ego, Slendy, Ego, Slendy, Ego, Slendy, ayy. You already know what's up. What's that? Another home run. But you know the job ain't done till we hold that trophy up. Hey.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 442 of the Talking Friars podcast and YouTube show. Ben Fadden with you here. It is August 11th, 2023. There was the off day yesterday, and the San Diego Padres will be taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks in Arizona for this, I think, a crucial three-game series. I know pretty much every series the rest of the way is going to be crucial for this Padres team. And there's obviously a lot to talk about. I was busy yesterday, so did not do a show or anything like that. I did put out a video on the Juan Soto quote, which that's the main thing that I want to talk about here. And I want to see some fans' thoughts. What do you think? If you want to join the show, click the link that's pinned up at the top of the chat. If you want to make your voice be heard, but you don't want to join the show necessarily, you can use that super chat button. It supports the channel. And it guarantees that I will get to your comment or your question. Makes it very easy for me to see your comment or your question. I appreciate any of that support there. But yeah, today, just talking about the Soto quote, the Padres needing to play as a team. There's no time to quit anymore, and you shouldn't have quit anyway, but there's not time for that. They have to play as a team. They have to play together, and they have to keep grinding if they want to actually go and make a run and go be a postseason team. You can't have these good games and then a bad game, right? It has to be consistent here. I have a Joe Musgrove update for you. And should he come back or not? I think that's definitely a valid question to ask. And then a Padres D-back series preview. So that's what's on tap today. Just a reminder, you can use code TalkingFriars for $20 off your SeatGeek order. And visit breakingtea.com. You can click that link that is in the description for great San Diego sports swag, Padres, Aztecs, Wave. And then I'll get to Gaglo and Bros, obviously, and Underdog Fantasy in a little bit. Just seeing some people in the chat here. Jennifer, LFGSD, Devin, give up, ? Are you serious? Along with Grisham striking out with the bases loaded. Soto speaking is also the perfect way to sum up the season. Yeah, maybe that's a little unfair because I don't think that they were giving up, early in the year. Maybe there was a lack of urgency and maybe they weren't taking it seriously enough, seeing where they were at the beginning of the season. But I'm not sure that they were giving up then. But it doesn't matter like when they give up. You're playing Major League Baseball. You're getting paid millions of dollars, right? We're never going to see that in our lifetime. So for us to look at that Padres team and see those quotes from players that, again, they're going to make way more money than we ever will, right? For them to give up all the money, all the attention that we give to this Padres team, and we live day in and day out. I know they don't because they can't do that because just for their sanity, but for just how much we care about this Padres team, that's a real gut punch, I think, to Padres fans. To read that Juan Soto quote about them giving up. And here this was. I know you didn't miss it. You had to be living under a rock if you missed the quote. But this was on Wednesday night after the Padres lost to the Mariners. And Juan Soto said, we've got to play as a team. We've got to go out there, grind every day, grind every at-bat. It's been really inconsistent. Some days we do, some days we don't. We got to do it every day. Days like this series, we just give up. Like literally. We just give up instead of keep grinding, keep pushing. We've got to forget about yesterday and keep moving. And that's kind of the message that Manny has had, right? Take it one day at a time. What happened tonight, like when he's talking about after the game, when he's talking, what happened tonight? Got to flush it. Who cares? Whatever. We got to move on. We got to focus on winning tomorrow's game. We got to win today's game. Go 1-0. Go 1-0. That's the mentality, and that's what should be the mentality. But it's the stuff, obviously, before that about we've got to forget about yesterday, keep moving. We've got to play as a team. I mean, that's the title of my episode here, Padres better start playing like a team. And we've seen it this year where it feels like sometimes they're not playing as a team. And is it the money? Is it the contracts? Why are they not playing as a team? And they're acknowledging we've got to play as a team. It's been really inconsistent. Some days we do, some days we don't. We got to do it every day. Acknowledging, yeah, days like this series, so these last couple games is what he's meaning, we just give up. So if they're acknowledging that, Manny Machado, after the game on Wednesday, he said something. What did he say after the game? He said, unacceptable, I think. Absolutely unacceptable. So guys, Xander Bogaerts has had quotes this year as well. Joe Musgrove has had quotes this year about the team and realizing, yeah, maybe there's not enough urgency. We need more urgency. We've got to play as a team. We've got to grind every day. It's been inconsistent. So they recognize this. Then why aren't they changing it? That's a big question that I don't know how many people are asking. Like, people are obviously pissed off about Soto saying, yeah, we just give up. And I give props to him for admitting that, but he's admitting it. So it means that he realizes it. Players in that clubhouse realize that they're giving up, that they have given up at times this season. They have given up during games when things aren't going well. So change it. You have the power to change it. So change it. It's not like it's another team controlling if you give up or not. It's not like it's another team controlling if you grind every at-bat or not. There's going to be tough pitching that you're going to face, but you still have to keep going. Again, I'm just looking at, Padres fans and seeing their disappointment about this team and those quotes and all that. It's like, these fans, we care so much about this team. And so when there's players that are saying this stuff, it doesn't seem to some fans that they care as much as we do. It's going to piss fans off, and it should. It should. And as I said yesterday in that reaction to the Juan Soto quote, why should we believe in this team? Do they believe in themselves? I know Manny can say that. He can say, yeah, we believe in the 26 or 25 other guys in this clubhouse, right? You can say that, but do you actually believe in that? Do you actually believe in the clubhouse? And I don't know, because if there's some guys like Ha-Sung Kim, right? He sticks out. Jake Cronenworth. There's guys on this team where it's like, yeah, they care. They're not giving up. Like, I'm seeing them continue to go and continue to hustle and steal bases in Ha-Sung Kim's case, right? And be pissed off when things aren't working out, I'm seeing that. So those players, they probably see those Soto quotes and it's like, okay, so some guys in this clubhouse are giving up and we're out here busting our butts. Like, that's got to change. You got to have the entire clubhouse be together, be as a team, not playing as individuals. And Dennis Lin pointed this out in his piece in The Athletic yesterday, I think, or maybe it was the day before that, about the lack of necessary urgency and the long-term contracts. Are the long-term contracts playing a role in this? I think for some guys, probably not. I think Tatis wants to win. I think Bogaerts wants to win. I think Manny wants to win, Like, we've seen their passion and how much they care about winning. But there are some other guys where I question that. And are they playing more as individuals instead of being great teammates? I've questioned that in my head this year. And there are guys in there that I can point to for that. And so here's Dennis Lin saying, throughout this season, some people in the clubhouse have alluded to a lack of necessary urgency. Manny has alluded to that, I think. I think Musgrove has pointed to that. It's possible that the very long-term contracts the Padres handed out before the season have something to do with that. it's hard not to notice the team's top performers are either nearing free agency or in their penultimate years before free agency. The Padres also have only a handful of true homegrown players and none among those top performers. This likely helps explain why certain other clubs seem to display more cohesiveness on the field. So, maybe a combination of things, right? You see Blake Snell, he's having a tremendous season, right? Ha-Seong Kim playing really well. He's a free agent at the end of next year. Blake Snell, free agent at the end of this year. Josh Hader, there's been some times where he should probably be pitching in these games, and he hasn't. Now, is that on Bob Melvin, or is that Josh Hader saying, I'm not willing to do that? And I think maybe it's a little bit of both, but I think part of that is Josh Hader. I mean, it came out the other night that he volunteered to pitch in the 8th inning to save some guys in the bullpen. Why is he volunteering? Bob Melvin should be able to say, I need you on the mound, and you go pitch. Under reasonable situations, obviously, right? So, the long-term contracts, I think some fans, they're going to look at that and be like, well, they already have their long-term guaranteed contracts. Why should they play hard? They've got their money. It's not other sports where it might not be guaranteed. No, these contracts are guaranteed. There's incentives that can help you earn more money, but they've already got $300 million right there that's going to come to them. So maybe there's a little bit of lack of motivation if things get tough, because I'll be here. We can try next year. I'll be here. We can try. I'll have more cracks at this. Now, again, I don't think that's these big guys on this. I just find it hard to believe that it's, Tatis coming off the suspension and all that. He wants to just die. He's just going to lay down and be okay with this. Manny Machado, he wants to be okay with this. I don't think he does. Xander Bogaerts, I don't think he's going to be okay with this. So what are the other long-term contracts, And Musgrove, I know he's not okay with this. And Darvish, so maybe that's not, as I'm going through these names, maybe that's not the reason why. But I don't blame Padres fans if someone thinks that, because that is a conclusion that you can go to with the long-term deals. And the top performers are guys like Josh Hader when he's on the mound, free agent at the end of the season. Blake Snell, free agent at the end of the season. Ha-Seong Kim, free agent at the end of next season, playing really, really well. And then you look at some guys that have the long-term deals. Bogaerts has been underwhelming this year. Tatis in a slump. Manny, underwhelming this year. Cronenworth, underwhelming this year. You just bring them all up and it's like fans are going to make that conclusion. Oh, geez, sorry. I was on another tab, Matt, so I did not see you were here. How long? I don't know how long you've been in here, but go ahead.
I mean, I've been here since the beginning, but it's whatever. I just don't buy the notion of like playing as a team in baseball. Just it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I could guess the lack of cohesion, but it just comes to winning to losing. I mean, again, when the game was 1-1 in the 8th, and Steven Wilson gets hammered. I mean, is Steven Wilson not playing as a team because he throws a hanging slider and gets rocked by Cal Raleigh? Is that him not playing as a team? It's not. The only guy on there that I see that's not playing, which I've said all along, was Hader. It's like Hader seems to manage himself or the team, or is dictated, which I said was a problem for lack of urgency. So I could see him looked at as a problem, but besides, maybe giving away at bats, they played great defense all year. So it's not like they're booting balls because their lack of concentrate. They've been great starting pitching almost all year. The bullpen had a bad month and a half of it, but for most of it, I don't see anybody individually like throwing game like, oh, this guy's on the mound, I'm going to drop a fly ball. I mean, so does a terrible defensive player, but He's come back offensively. So besides maybe giving away at bats, it's not like they're defying bunt signs or hit and run signs. It just doesn't make any sense. It's just except for giving away at bats, which it seems like Tatis, maybe if he gets down 0-2, he doesn't fight. Maybe like some of the Dodgers guys will foul off 27 pitches, something like that. Maybe I could see, but other than that, I just don't on baseball. It's the pitching and the individual guys. I don't see how do you play as a team. And like I could see like if a guy's not there to cover second or whatever, but they don't have a lot of that. Sanchez had a few of those when he first got here, where he'd be up the line too far or whatever, block the plate. But there's none of those kind of things. Like I said, they play great defense, they have great starting pitching, they have great run differential. That doesn't make any, to me, that's just a nebulous term because for whatever reason, I don't know if it's called unlucky, but I mean, it's pretty unlucky to be 0-10 in extra inning game. That's almost impossible, even if you're the worst team. I mean, it is. I mean, it's only possible because we've seen it. I can't imagine anyone's been 0-10 in extra innings before, especially with the new rules. And then one-run games. Yeah, last year they were great in one-run games, and this year they're not. Is really anything different, or is it just like football where you get turnovers, just regression to the mean? I just don't buy the nebulous like that playing as a team. I just think that's it's been a bad year. Manny's had a down year from what he had last year, so you just got guys. Obviously, Xander's having a way worse year, and Soto struggled when he first came. So maybe Xander will come back in his second year and play. Besides Hader, I can't think of. I mean, Snell's having his best year, and yeah, he doesn't have a contract, but he's still having his best performance. So is he not playing as a team because he's only playing for a contract? Even if that's the case, he's still playing great. So
Right.
I just don't buy it. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Just where does the quotes come from then? Like Soto himself is, and he's in that clubhouse. He is saying we've got to play as a team, and he's saying that we just give up instead of keep grinding, keep pushing.
Well,
Like so,
besides a one individual player like grinding, like I said, a Dodger type at bat where they foul off 30 pitches. Besides that instance, and besides Hader dictating when he pitches, besides that, what could you do? Just forget the quote. What could they do to play more as a team if they're already playing great defense and the pitching's been great? Like it's not. I don't see. Like I said, besides the grind of an at bat, like Ha-Seong Kim stealing bases, I can't imagine Tatis is saying, "No, I'm not going to steal second because I don't want to get hurt." I mean, are guys not running because they don't want to slide and risk injury? I mean, if that's the case, maybe, but I just don't see. I don't see a case of that. Tatis seems to be as aggressive as ever. Yes, he's slumping, but I mean, it's not like he came back like I don't want to injure my wrist again, so I'm not going to steal bags. He runs wild all over the place. So I just can't think of an example besides giving away at bats possibly that you could say would playing together as a team. I can point out mistakes by not going away from Nola quickly. The urgency part's definitely real. But to me, that's not playing as a team. That's a management thing. I've always said they weren't urgent enough to start. They played from the beginning of the year like they were already in the playoffs. So, but that's not, to me, that's not playing together as a team. That's they still played. I mean, who do you think has quit then?
I'm seeing I don't know if I can point to one player that has quit. What I'm seeing is when they get down, and again, I resisted this early in the year, and I put out there on social media that I thought that, the narrative that they don't care and they have no fight was stupid. So I was on that side of things. But what I've seen since then, and it's only backed up by the inconsistency from this team and by, again, the quotes from guys in there that are admitting to this, is when they get down, it just feels like maybe they try too much. They get out of what should be having success for them. Like I'm pointing like to Jake Cronenworth this year. I think he's been better as of late with like shorter swings and being himself, but getting out of that, it's like and, trying to individually get out of what's going on for them individually in that season, if that makes sense, instead of just sticking with what they should be doing for their approach to help the team go win.
I mean, I understand that. I don't know. Like Jake Cronenworth shortening up his stroke. Whoever let's say he's batting behind Xander and Xander doubles and he tries to hit a home run instead of moving him over to third. I mean, is that really the case, or is he really just struggling at the plate? I can't see like Cronenworth saying, you know what, I need to move this runner over because I need to play like a team, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go for a launch angle of whatever and an exit velo of whatever. I just don't think they think like that. I mean, I think it's hard enough to get a hit or to even, get a sac fly if you're trying to do it. I don't know.
You're attributing this to just a bunch of guys having underwhelming seasons.
Yes, I think it gets overblown when you're losing, and I think a lot from what I see, if you look around, and I know you do a lot of box scores around the league. There's one big inning in a game. Not a lot of teams come back. There's usually one big inning in a game, and then that game's over. Whether it's even the Braves Pirates. I mean, the Pirates have put like a 6 spot up. And even the Braves say, you know what? We're packing this one in. That's a lot of, I think it's a problem with baseball because I think there's so many bad teams, but that's a separate issue. I think that's a lot of just the way the MLB is. There's a big inning that seems to snowball like that one against Seth Lugo where he's just going along and nothing, and then 8 runs and bang. It's like, whoa. How did that happen? And the same way that the Padres put up 5 on the Dodgers. Yes, the Dodgers are different. I know I just contradicted myself saying there's one big inning, no one comes back, but the Dodgers are different. I mean, obviously they're just frustrating. They just piss me off. But most of the time you get those, it just snowballs into one big inning and then the game's over. I mean, that's just the way it is. But I mean, you watch the game. I mean, Logan Gilbert, yes, I know the cap tipping stuff. He was filthy. I mean, yes, they got shut out, but he was filthy. And the second game was 1-1 in the 8th. I mean, I just don't see how that's not playing as a team. I mean, I don't see anybody hitting Gilbert. I mean, and he's damn good anyway. It's annoying when these young guys come up and they can't hit these young guys, but it was still 1-1 in the 8th. And not a lot of runs get scored up in Seattle. I mean, that's a ballpark where balls go to die too. So a lot of their games are 3-1, 2-0, that kind of thing. So, I mean, I just don't see before the Dodgers series, even halfway through the Dodgers series, this, it had been discussed prior, but they had moved within a game of 500 or whatever. It wasn't until, they blew that 5-0 lead that it seemed to be like, oh boy. And then it seemed to like, it's left them with like a hangover. And I mean, before, like I said, when they pulled the second game, they should have won the first game and then won the second game. You wouldn't hear about this because everything's fine. It's because things went sideways for a few games. If they sweep Arizona, it's back to the same thing again.
Do you think so? If they sweep Arizona, you think fans are all going to jump back on?
Absolutely. I mean, unless
I think I might have lost Matt there. Yeah, come back on, Matt, if you want to, but I think we lost you. Yeah, but I don't know. I think that if the Padres have a really good series against the Diamondbacks, I still think fans are going to need to see more. That Soto quote, it's going to stick in a lot of Padres fans' heads for the rest of the season. Like, even if they get back in this thing and it's close and they're a game or two out, are fans going to be like, all right, yeah, this is the team? I don't know. Because shouldn't there be urgency right now? And if there isn't urgency, which we know in that Seattle series there wasn't the urgency, why should we believe that there's going to be the urgency later in this season? Like, they're just procrastinating. And then all of a sudden they're going to play the best baseball they've ever played. And then that's how they'll make the postseason. Like, I get it. It's still doable. They're 4.5 games back of a wild card spot. Like, that's not 10 games back, right? If they were in the American League, it would probably be over, but they're not. So that's the good thing. But when it's August 9th and you have a quote and you're saying, yeah, series like this, we just give up. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to have a whole lot of confidence in this Padres team. I don't think fans should either. And that's not just the quote, but go look at the track record of this Padres team. 115 plus games, I think, is what it is right now. Like, that's a big sample size of showing you what this Padres team is. And maybe, Matt, he did make good points there about, not believing that, the whole playing like a team thing because it's baseball. And, is someone going up there, they're trying to move a runner over, but it just doesn't happen. They're not playing for the team. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. And so I definitely understand that. But, I mean, the guys in the clubhouse are saying we've got to play as a team. So maybe we should believe a little bit of both things. Like, maybe it's like playing like a team, really. Maybe it's just a bunch of guys that are underperforming this season. And you look at the numbers, that is what it is. But we don't know what's going on in that clubhouse. And guys that are in that clubhouse are saying, like, we have to grind. We've got to play as a team. Some days we do, some days we don't. We got to do it every day. Like, they're acknowledging what they have to do. Now, go do it. Why can't they go do it then? Why can't, if they're, the problem, so go find that solution. Go play better. And I know that's easy for me to say here. I'm not the one sitting there having to hit 100-mile-per-hour fastballs. But I just feel like other teams in baseball, if they were like the Padres, acknowledging what was going on, why they were struggling, they would have had fixed it. Is it a mindset change that needs to happen? I'm just throwing a lot of things out there. And the title, obviously, of this episode here, Padres better start playing like a team. I'm saying that because of what Juan Soto said, because he admitted we've got to play as a team. Because baseball, yeah, there's a lot of things that are individual about it. Like, it's not like one guy can go carry you. Go look at the Los Angeles Angels, obviously. Right? Not one guy, not two guys can carry you. So, yeah, it takes a lot of good individual performances. But when you have a lot of guys buying in to doing whatever it takes to find that solution, doing whatever it takes to go win, you're probably going to have a better chance at winning than guys that aren't all in. I really hesitate to say, like, they're not all in, but I'm only saying it and bringing that out and making that a possibility. Like, oh, maybe they're not all playing as a team. Maybe they're not all in, or they're playing just for the next payday because they see where this season is. It's because of some of the quotes that we have seen. And there's been some times where, yeah, it does look like the offense has been, what's the right word? Uninspired? Flat? Jake Cronenworth has mentioned, he has said multiple times to the media this year that they've come out flat since the first pitch of the game. So again, like, that goes back to, what's going on. So don't play flat. Like, how can they not play flat? Right? So you say we played flat from pitch one. Can't happen. Unacceptable. Like, those are the words coming from the clubhouse. So why can't you change it? That's a really frustrating thing to me that I just have in my head. It's like, so what's going on. So fix it. I know it's deeper. It is deeper than just, okay, go fix it. Because you can say, like, We got to play as a team. We got to grind, keep pushing. But what does that mean to keep grinding and keep pushing? Does it just mean to play better? Does it mean to have better at-bats? I think in some cases with some guys having better at-bats, that would fall under the umbrella of keep grinding, keep pushing, right? Is it watching more film, be better prepared for starting pitchers for that day, be better prepared for relievers? Is it spend more time in the cages? Like, what is it? What's going to be that formula to add up to end up, changing it and playing like a team, like Juan Soto is saying that they're not doing, saying that we've got to play as a team. Grind every at-bat. How do you grind every at-bat? Are there some guys giving up in the middle of the at-bat if it turns into a pitcher's count? I'm just throwing out these questions because some of these quotes, it's just like, what? Giving up, what's wrong. So how are you going to change that? What are you going to do to change that? That's my thoughts on that. I know I've gotten a lot of different directions and I'm definitely rambling, but some of these quotes, this last like week, it's just been surprising, kind of. And I say kind of because a lot of fans have talked about how, the team looks flat and feels like they quit, right? Like, fans have said that, but they're saying it now as well. So are they going to find a solution, or are they just going to keep playing like this? And they're not going to try to change something? Is it their routines? Change something to try to be better? I don't know. Check out Gaglione Bros' famous cheesesteaks and garlic fries on Friars Road. You can visit their website, gaglionebros.com, for their entire menu and enjoy their cheesesteaks and fries at Petco Park and Snapdragon Stadium as well. Okay, so let's get to the chat here. Obviously, I have a Musgrove update and D-backs Padres series preview. Jackson says, shuffle the lineup. By the way, if you want to make sure I get to your comment or your question, you can use that super chat button. Supports the channel. It makes it very easy for me to see your comment or your question. Jackson, shuffle the lineup. I think, hasn't Bob Melvin done that already a lot this season? Now, maybe some of the guys were hurt, so he had to shuffle the lineup. But I don't know how much that is going to do. Like, I'm open to changing a little bit of the lineup, but constantly shuffling the lineup until something works one night. What if he sticks with that and then it doesn't work? Is he going to keep shuffling it? I think there's something to guys being comfortable with where they're hitting, or maybe they're not comfortable at first. Some guys this season have said, I don't like hitting in that spot. And so Bob Melvin has probably said, okay, we'll hit you in another spot. But at points this year, like, they've had to hit in that spot because look at the record. Things aren't going well. We got to change it up. Let's see if this works. But what if you change the lineup and it works and then it doesn't work? Or you change up the lineup and it doesn't work? You're just going to keep flipping the lineup around and changing spots and all that. I think there's something to players knowing where they're going to be, what their role is. So I don't know how into it Bob Melvin is about Jackson's point there, shuffling the lineup. Pravoy Judy says, I'm somewhat new as a baseball fan, but hearing people blame Melvin and AJ confuse me. Are players so good? I would put 90% on the players and 5% on Melvin and AJ. I'd put more than 5% on Melvin and AJ. Maybe 5% on Melvin because, yes, he's made some mistakes, but at the end of the day, he's the one that has this superstar roster. And the players, again, yes, those are the guys that are on the field. Those are the guys that can really change things by playing better and, grinding those at-bats, like Juan Soto is saying, right? They are the ones that can change that. Can Bob Melvin really change that? He can get in their faces and light them up and, try to inspire them. But at the end of the day, it's about the players on the field that are going to do that, right? He's just guiding it. Now, AJ, he's the one that has brought in these players that have quit at times this season, according to people in the clubhouse, right? He's brought in these players that didn't have enough urgency at the beginning of the year. So I would put more than 5% on AJ Preller for sure. And what's the common theme of all the Padres' unsuccessful seasons, right? I think last year we can deem a success, right? NLCS after not being in the postseason 2021, getting bounced in 2020, not making it obviously in 2019. Like that's the longest that they have lasted in the postseason. The farthest they have got, obviously since 1998, the farthest that they have got in my lifetime. So that's successful. But what about the years before that? I know Peter Seidler has said, or no, it wasn't Peter Seidler himself, but Kevin Acee said on the radio that, yeah, Seidler, when he took control, that's pretty much when he started really judging AJ Preller because there was the rebuild and you got to give that time. And I guess that's fair, but how long are you going to give time for the rebuild, right? He gave the rebuild 5 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it was. And all the managers, all of the changes that Preller has made, all of them, for the most part, have not worked out. It looks like 22 was the outlier. That wasn't what the Padres are. That looks like that was just the outlier, because this year, most disappointing season in Padres franchise history, 2021, obviously the collapse after it started out well. He's gone with the rookie manager. He's gone with, his best buddy. He had Bud Black at the start of 2015. Did he get a first shot? I don't know. I'm talking about fair shot with AJ under him. I think AJ wanted to go get his own guy, and he did, obviously. Now they're going with Bob Melvin, and it worked for 1 year, but it didn't work for this year, or at least it hasn't so far. Maybe they will make the postseason, but I just don't feel great about Bob Melvin sticking around for 2024. And I don't really have a great sense of if it's going to be Bob Melvin stepping away, like I'm just not going to deal with this anymore, or it's AJ saying bye-bye to Bob Melvin and Peter Seidler allowing that still somehow. But if they let go of Bob Melvin, what does that say? Like, what manager is going to want to come be the manager of the Padres if Bob Melvin couldn't even last? Right? And they're just going to blame it on the manager? Who wants to come in here and manage all of these egos and guys that are quitting? According to Juan Soto, what manager wants that? But yeah, just who's the common denominator in all of this? It's AJ Preller. And for anyone that's watched or listened to this show, they know that I have been a big supporter of AJ, especially obviously last year when they had success. And it was like this guy, and I was a supporter of his early on in the year. Like, this guy has brought us the best Padres team, the most talented, or the biggest payroll Padres team. And I know he's not the one actually paying, it's Seidler, but he's put together this roster that just made it to the NLCS and is getting Bogarts and getting Tatis, right? And keeping Suarez and having Hader for a full season, having Juan Soto for a full season, having Manny coming off of an MVP caliber season in 2022, right? Like, he has done this. So, no, I'm not going to want to get rid of a guy that's done this for the San Diego Padres organization. But if this season ends up being the way it feels like it's going to be, I don't think AJ is going to go, because what matters most is Peter Seidler. What matters most is not my opinion or anyone on the radio or any of us. It's Peter Seidler's opinion that matters most and what he thinks is best. But no doubt there's going to need to be a serious look at this organization if things continue to go this way. And again, probably results in AJ staying, but maybe Peter can bring in someone who is not biased, someone who does not have a relationship with AJ, with the Padres. I don't know who that would be. And I'm not saying this would be like president of baseball operations, because that's obviously AJ. But I'm saying someone that could be like what do they call him? An advisor in the front office or something, to take a look at the organization. And again, non-biased, just giving Peter Seidler the facts. And that's probably going to hurt Peter Seidler a little bit because he believes in AJ Preller. He loves AJ. He believes in the guys he hires. And I love that. I want my boss to believe in the people that they hire. Believe in me if they hire me, right? Like, I think that's what a lot of people here want. They don't want someone that doesn't believe in them. But when it comes to the point of blind faith that I think Peter Seidler has had with AJ, the whole AJ's excellence thing, that's when it's like, okay, someone has to step in here and give him the hard truth about what has gone on. I know he realizes what has gone on, but he views everything optimistically. And again, I can't blame him for that because of the life experiences that he's had to go through with cancer and all that and beating that. And I'm sure someone that has had cancer, they probably have a different outlook on life if they beat that or during it. So again, I'm not blaming Peter for being optimistic, but for what's right for this organization long term. And if things don't go well for the short term as well, what's right for the organization is having someone say it straight to Peter Seidler. What's going on? What needs to change? And if you're going to keep someone like AJ Preller, what do you need to say to him? And what's going to maybe change what he does a little bit? Change his approach. You need to put restrictions on some things. Like, I don't know. I'm just this episode is a big rambling episode, just saying a bunch of stuff and just giving my thoughts. Because there was no game obviously last night or anything like that. But yeah, it's obviously with the off day and today waiting all day till the Padres game tonight at 6:40. It's just a lot of thinking about the organization and what's to come and what should happen. That's where I find myself right now. All right, I'm going to get to the rest of the chat here in a little bit, but here's a quick Joe Musgrove update from Kevin Acee. Pretty much maybe mid-September is what the update is. Not the best update. Musgrove should begin playing catch around August 24th, get another MRI at the end of August. If he feels good and the shoulder looks good in imaging, he could return to the rotation by mid-September. That's the update on Musgrove. And Musgrove, he spoke to Kevin Acee and says, I don't feel very good. Musgrove said, indicating his shoulder feels about the same as it did when he was shut down a week ago, but a lot can happen in 3 weeks. And a lot can happen in 3 weeks with the team, with Musgrove. But my question coming off of this is, okay, mid-September could return to the rotation by mid-September. Is the season going to be over by then? How is this Padres team going to look by mid-September? Should Joe try his hardest to come back? Should Joe return if this team doesn't show signs of consistent, better baseball, consistent grinding and pushing and truly caring, right? Because I don't want him to risk next year as well. Maybe he comes back and gets hurt and he has to have surgery or be out for next year, miss some of next year. I don't want him to compromise next season and his future with this Padres organization to try to come back and save a season where some guys in that clubhouse aren't caring enough about this team and aren't grinding enough and weren't urgent early enough in this season. I don't want him coming back for that. I want him to come back for a team that truly cares and a team that is bought in. That's what I want him to come back for. So he's going to try his hardest. I think what he should do is try his hardest to come back by mid-September, like this timeline is. Keep trying. And as he's ramping up, if things don't look good, and it's pretty clear like they're not making the postseason, And him starting, probably not fully healthy, him starting once a week isn't going to provide that game-changing impact to go make the postseason. If that's the case, then don't come back this year, Joe. Again, I'm looking at the rest of it's not like he's a free agent at the end of the season, or he's, Max Scherzer or someone like that, where it's like, this is it. Then it would be different. But this is not it. This is not going to be it for Joe. So I don't want him to come back and hurt himself for a team that, do they deserve him coming back for? Like I said at the trade deadline as well, like, do they deserve to have big reinforcements come in? And so Joe, I think he's going to want to come back, and he's going to say he believes in this team and all that, but he's a Padres fan as well. He just happens to play for the team. So does he truly, deep down, believe that this team is going to go be a postseason team as a Padres fan? And if he doesn't, then I think we know what the right decision is come mid-September if things haven't changed. All right. Here is a super chat here from J-Fly. Thank you so much. I will be watching my 78th game this season. I still have the faith they will turn it around. Let's get them snakes. So J-Fly is a positive Padres fan. Still have faith that they will turn it around. You're one of the very few then that has faith that this team's going to turn it around. I'll tell you that, because, and I know social media is not representative of the entire population of Padres fans. It's not representative of the entirety of San Diego, right? But there's a lot of passionate fans that know what they're talking about on there. There's some that don't, but there's a lot that do and that watch every game. And the energy, the belief is pretty much sucked out of them. And they're season ticket holders that I know that the belief is kind of, if it's still there, it's the ink on that pen, if you will, it's almost out. It's on the last sentence. And an ink can't gain back. So maybe it's not the best comparison to make there. But you get what I'm saying. If anyone still believes in this team, there's not a whole lot of belief there. They're believing kind of in blind faith, because it's your team. And because you still see Manny Machado and Fernando and Juan and Bogarts in the lineup. And you see the big names, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna hold on a little bit of that belief because of that. Right? That's why I think some fans would still believe in the team, because you can't believe in the team based on the numbers this season, because run differential, it's misleading. And the runners in scoring position, late in games, being clutch, extra innings, all that doesn't favor the Padres, right? And you're seeing underperformance from all the big guys. Maybe not all, but most of them. And you're seeing quotes again post-game from the stars of this team about quitting and unacceptable. And they know what's wrong, but are they going to fix it? And so far, they have not been able to fix it. Thank you, Jay Fly, for that super chat. I appreciate it. Just going through the rest of the chat here. No Name says, Ben, I think you're angry because people were telling you for months that this team didn't have fight and you refused to acknowledge it. Soto is just telling the truth. Well, no, I'm not mad. Well, I do want to be right about that, because I want to believe that this team has fight and that they're going to keep fighting, or start to fight again, I should say. I'm just more angry and disappointed. Not that I was wrong about that, but just because that's the reality that we're in. I'm just disappointed and angry that guys in that clubhouse would give up on August 9th. And, right after the trade deadline, right after pieces were added to this Padres team. And you have guys in there admitting to giving up. When the fan base has shown out better than ever before, selling out almost every game, being there, continuing to show up, even when you don't give them much of a reason to show up, continuing to show up and spending a ton of money to go support those players. And for them to give up, it puts that bad taste in your mouth. It's just bad. And yeah, Soto, when he says something like this, you got to believe him, because he's not going to say that and not mean it, right? You don't just throw out that the team gives up. No, you say it because it's the truth. JD's third with the super chat. Thanks so much. Says Ben, Soto said it because it's too late. It's over. So is that another thing? Like, do players on August 11th here, do they already believe that it's over? So they have given up on the season, or did they just give up on some of these games? Because those two things are obviously different. Because if some guys in that clubhouse believe it's over, then yeah, that's really troubling. It's one thing for fans to think it's over, because we're fans. We're going to be reactionary, right, to every little thing that happens. But for the players who are in that moment, they know how long the season is. They're in the clubhouse. There's guys that believe in that talent in that clubhouse, the names in that clubhouse. If they already think it's over, then yeah, we should obviously think it's over, and that's definitely not encouraging at all. Just going through the chat here. No Name says it's a combination of factors that have led to what this team is. Yeah, I think so. Underwhelming performances from star players. I think maybe a lack of depth. Sometimes guys giving up during games. That's a combination of things, for sure. There's been some injuries. So it's a combination of things. And I don't want to just focus on the Soto. I know that's been obviously the main focus, but you're right. It is a combination of things. I want to be clear. It's not just they've given up on some of these games. That's why they are where they are. They're at where they're at. That's not why. That's not the only reason why, I should say. It's a combination of things, but it's definitely part of it for sure. When players in the clubhouse are saying it, the manager has hinted at it. You know, the urgency quotes at the beginning of the year, near the beginning of the year. It's part of it. And the good teams, you see teams that go on and win the World Series. And I know you probably don't want to hear the Nationals being brought up, 2019, and the Braves, right? Where things didn't start out great. Did they give up? Or did they refuse to give up? They believed in others around them. They believed in themselves, and they went out and did it. And that's that's one of the differences between this team right here, at least what we're seeing, what we've read, and those other teams. That's what I would say. Irie says, Juan Soto speaks English, but he's not fluent, and you got to take what he says with a grain of salt sometimes when you're not good. With English, you mess up on how you phrase things to the media. Okay, I get that, Irie. And before, during this season, I forget when it was. But was it the National Series? I forget. But Soto he had that quote that a lot of people latched onto about how it's not his fault, something like that. It's not him. The media needs to go talk to people down there. I think he was pointing to the coaches or the front office where they are after games. He was pointing to that. Maybe he meant something else by that. Maybe he meant go talk to other players on the team about their performances because I'm doing well, and he just got caught up in the moment like that. Maybe he meant something else by that, but this, I get it. He's not fluent in English, but him saying, days like this series, we just give up. And he didn't just stop there. He doubled down on it and said, like literally, we just give up instead of keep grinding, keep pushing. So it's not like he said it once and he didn't mean to say it. He said it again. So I'm not going to believe that it was a language thing with this quote. There's some other ones that you can convince me where it's like, okay, maybe not. And I applaud him for speaking English because it's obviously super hard to learn another language. But this quote felt pretty straightforward. No Name says, I don't see how people get so angry at players for giving up when all of us are guilty of not giving top effort at various points in our lives. That's true. I'm sure that all of us have not given the best effort at some point in our lives. Like, that's just human nature. And I'm sure that there's every team in baseball, there's been a game this season where the top effort has not been given. So, yeah, I can agree on that. But I think what rubs people the wrong way is us in normal jobs not giving our best effort on a day. That's different than guys that are making $20 million a year saying that they're not giving their top effort, that they're literally just giving up instead of grinding and pushing. Because there's so many people that would love to be in that position that those players are in. Right? And so those people that would love to be in that position, or those people that pay tons of money to go see those people perform that are in those positions, those people get rubbed the wrong way by that. And if you're like a diehard Padres fan and you see that quote, how can you be not disappointed or not pissed off about that quote? If you truly care about this team going and winning, you know? Devin asks, do you think Machado, Soto, and X-Man playing in the WBC had an effect for the execution of play on the performance? Maybe early in the season, but that feels like an excuse. Like that doesn't, that the World Baseball Classic, I don't have anything to say about that in terms of how that impacts their performance now. I mean, it's August. That thing happened in March. You know, I'm not going to go there with that. JD's third, another super chat. Thank you so much. He says, why has AJ created a cult here? It's really sad. That feels a little strong. What I can say about that is, like, why has AJ why has he continued to star hunt when maybe the track record shows he probably shouldn't do that? Is that a valid question? But then stars are great players, right? And help the teams they were on go win. So, like, you want your GM to star hunt because you want good players, but having too many stars, then maybe there's not enough flexibility in payroll. Maybe there's guys that sit there and I'm like, I'm good, and maybe they'll have a tendency to not give their full effort night in, night out because they have the guaranteed contract. You're usually a star because you've put in multiple years of performing well. And guys like Xander Bogaerts, maybe there's only a few more years of that real prime. And when you're star hunting and you feel like you need to get a star, another star, you can't stop getting star players. Eventually you're going to sign guys you're going to overpay for guys that probably weren't overpaying for, So that's what I'd say about AJ. And why has he continued to maybe not trust other people in the organization with doing their jobs? Because obviously there have been reports about AJ being very hands-on with things in the organization. Why has he done that? I think that's a valid question. That's what I would say to that, JD's third. Lofty Ideals says the team quitting was obvious for a while. Yeah, but I've seen at bats late in games or when they get behind the count, it just doesn't look great. And part of that is they're facing Logan Gilbert or they're facing Andres Munoz or who is the Matt Brash. Oh my gosh, that nasty pitch he threw to Tatis the other night. Sometimes it doesn't look good because you're facing a really good pitcher. But again, these are supposed to be really good players on our side as well. So you're supposed to have success against these guys at, sometimes, at least sometimes. And we're not seeing that enough from this offense this year. Sorry, I'm just going through the chat here. And I'm going back to what Matt said when he came on earlier. Like, he did make good points about the team, him not really buying into, the team quitting, they're not playing as a team, because a lot of it is individual, and there are guys that are having good performances, and those guys are helping the team. They might be incentivized because they don't have a big contract yet, but they are helping the team. So are those guys that are playing well, they're not playing as a team player? The guys that aren't playing well, are they just not playing well, or are they intentionally doing that because they don't want to be a good teammate? Like, I get those points that are brought up. So I want to make it clear that I don't think that this team has quit all year long, and maybe they won't be quitting tonight. But I think it's just definitely a red flag for the team to be quitting in some of these games, especially when there needs to be urgency. And guys in the clubhouse have said that there needs to be urgency, And to be like, right now, we're pretty much just going round and round about the urgency and the quitting. And at the end of the day, this would not be brought up if the team just had a good record, right? I don't think it would be brought up very much if this team was meeting expectations. But when you're not, the clubhouse stuff, the quotes, they get magnified, and we start grasping for things. And so, yeah, maybe it isn't the Padres aren't playing as a team. Maybe they are. And maybe the title of this show, this title of this episode should be The Padres Just Have to Play Better. Maybe that's what the episode title should be. But again, I came in with this, the Padres better start playing like a team as the title, because, Soto is saying it. Like, we've got to play as a team, and admitting to some, the team quitting in that Mariner series. So that's obviously where it's brought up. I'm not just grasping for straws with no quotes to back that up, Soto's still getting $500 million. I don't know if I'd give Soto that right now, to be honest, but that's just a fan in me. Right after he had those quotes, that's just a fan in me. I'll probably change my mind on that, maybe in the off season. I wouldn't give him that right now. That's JD's third with the super chat says Kevin Acee reported this in May. Reported what in May? Like about AJ? And I think, but another thing, AJ's allowed to continue doing what he's doing because he's been enabled to do that by Peter Seidler. David says 2022 is a fluke. The Dodgers didn't come through. Freddie Freeman said it himself. Yeah. I mean, that's what it seems like. Again, based on the history, the track record, what's happening this year, it feels like 2022 was the outlier in this instead of who this team actually is and them building on that. It can change. They can go make the postseason, but I'm not seeing it, and I don't think fans should believe in that right now based on how things are going. How Preller still has a job with the Padres is unbelievable, but it's not. Sure, we can think it's unbelievable, but it's not unbelievable when you take everything into account. You know, all of the money that the Padres are bringing in through ticket revenue. That's partly because of what AJ has done with the roster. They got to the NLCS last year. Part of that has to do with AJ, right? It's not a lot of homegrown guys. So he has turned over this roster and he made it into a team that was playing for the NL pennant last year. So it's not unbelievable. Peter Seidler, always optimistic. He believes so much in AJ. It's not unbelievable that he still has a job. To fans, it might be from your perspective, but not if you're looking at it from, I guess, the ultra positive Peter Seidler perspective. Charlie says no great mind in baseball will come in and be an advisor. They would want full control. If you hire an advisor to overlook Preller, most likely they're not going to be that good. Yeah, it's fair. How would Preller receive that? But I'm just saying, like, wouldn't it be best for the organization to not have bias here? Because Peter Seidler, the guy who at the end of the day makes the big decisions, he has to approve these big money deals and all that. Like, he is biased in this. He might say that he's going to try to do what's best for the organization, and no doubt that's what he's going to try to do, but he's going to be making a decision with bias in it because he has that great relationship with AJ Preller. So that's why it's like, got to have someone that is unbiased. They don't care about the Padres and the success and the emotional attachment of the success of last year. They can just tell Peter Seidler what they think straight. This is what's going wrong. I'm not in the organization, but this is what I see. This is what is holding the organization back. And I recommend you to do these things if you want change, if you want things to get better. But I don't know if that's going to happen. Again, it would be complicated. It would probably be difficult for that to happen. I get that, Charlie. But I think that's the best for, for the organization. Okay, just scrolling through the chat quickly here. I'm not going to be able to get to everyone. If you want to make sure I get to you, again, you can use that super chat button. That guarantees that I will get to you. Just seeing if there's anything to point out here. I'm going to get to a Padres-D-backs preview here in a little bit. David says, I think Seidler may be more at fault here. I think he wanted an exciting team that creates buzz and brings in money. I think he signed off on Bogarts and bringing in the superstars. No doubt he signed off on them. Yeah, he's the owner. If you're, Preller's not just allowed to give out a $280 million contract without the owner's approval. Yeah, of course. Of course, Seidler approved it. But is Seidler going to AJ like, I want Xander Bogaerts? Or is it Preller going to Seidler and being like, here is why I think we should go get Xander Bogaerts? I feel like it's Preller doing that. Now, Seidler extending Manny, that was Seidler. I think that feels pretty obvious. When Seidler arrived in Peoria, a deal got done pretty quick. He said, Manny was my number one priority, all that, right? So, yeah, you could fault Seidler for that if you don't like that. I'm not going to fault Seidler for extending Manny. It's Manny Machado. He just came off of an MVP caliber season. You want him to be on this team long term based off of what just happened in 2022 and things that seem like things were going in the right direction, right? And I still want Manny on this team. Some don't like him. I still want Manny on this team. I still think he's great for this team. So yeah, David, getting back to that. Yeah, Seidler. Now, Seidler over Preller, I'm not sure about that, because Seidler, again, he believes in Preller. So if Preller comes to him and thinks something's a good idea, he's more likely than not going to say, yeah, go do it. If you think it's best, go do it. Because Preller knows more than he does, I assume, about other players in other organizations, players in the Padres organization. So he trusts Preller. So I think more of the blame's on Preller than Seidler, but sure, it's fair to blame Peter Seidler. Okay, I want to get to a series preview here. Padres-D-backs. I'll have pregame thoughts as usual, but just for a couple minutes here at the end. On Underdog Fantasy today, let's look at what the Underdog Fantasy higher lower picks are for the series opener today. By the way, click that link that's in the description, or you can use code TalkingFriars, and you will get a deposit match for free up to $100. Blake Snell, 6.5 strikeouts, higher lower, 16.5 pitching outs. So get through 6 innings. I'd probably go higher on that. That might be my underdog pick. 4.5 hits allowed, 100.5 pitches. Blake has proved me wrong on that, but I'd probably still go lower on that just because it's Blake Snell. I'm probably always going to go lower on that, to be honest. Bullpen with an off day. Even though the Padres don't have an off day for a while now, I think. Padres schedule. I think yesterday was that big off day, and then they have D-backs, Orioles, Marlins. No. D-backs, Orioles, D-backs, Marlins. Yeah, their next day off is the 24th. So maybe you do want to go higher on the 100 pitches there for Snell. Manny, half a single, higher lower, 1.5 total bases, higher lower. Bogarts, half a single, higher lower. Tatis, half a single, higher lower. 2 total bases, higher lower. 1.5 total bases, Juan Soto, higher lower. Jake Cronenworth, half a single, higher lower. Strikeouts, half a strikeout, higher lower. Ha-Seong Kim, half a single, higher lower. So and this is every day, a ton of picks, a ton of opportunities here on Underdog Fantasy. In fact, I will share this screen and see if you can see this. Yeah, there it is. So a bunch of different opportunities here from Underdog Fantasy. And if you make a pick here, you can make one other pick. So there's different other picks around baseball in a bunch of different games. Obviously, you see here Guardians and the Rays, bunch of different players. Same thing like the Padres, higher lowers. There's Marlins and the Yankees. There's the Twins and the Phillies. For all the games, you can go higher, lower. So you have to pick one Padre. You don't have to do a Padre, but obviously as a Padre fan, I'd recommend you doing a Padre because you know the team better than other teams. Do a Padre, and then you can make one other selection. And let's say you put in $10. You could earn $30. You would earn 30 if so you'd get obviously $20 in profit there. You put down 10, you'd earn 30 if you get those picks correct. So I definitely recommend you utilize that tool there. Underdog Fantasy, great daily fantasy sports. Okay. So Padres D-backs tonight. Blake Snell on the mound for the Padres and Ryan Nelson on the mound for the Arizona Diamondbacks. This feels like a game that they should win, but I know I said that about the series finale, and look what happened there. Didn't win that game. We'll see if the Padres have that fight in them tonight. Rich Hill on the mound on Saturday against Zach Gallen. That's at 5:10. Lugo on the mound on Sunday for the Padres. That is at 1:10. So I think a lot of Padres fans are going to have this same viewpoint. They're going to look at that. They're going to look at this series and they're going to say, got to win Friday, got to win tonight, and got to win on Sunday with Lugo on the mound. Saturday, you see Zach Gallen against Rich Hill, and you're like, yeah, probably not going to win that one. But let's take 2 out of 3 and then go home, and we'll see what the heck happens there. But with Arizona, they suck. They're now under 500. They were leading the division at one point this season. They were playing really good baseball, and they're 1-9 in their last 10 games. They have been really, really bad for a while now. And the Padres, they find themselves 2 games back of a team that has sucked recently for like the last probably more than a month. And they're still 2 games back. So, yeah, they definitely should take 2 out of 3 at least in this series. And if you get, if you can beat Zach Gallen, then obviously you go beat Zach Gallen. But I'll be happy with 2 out of 3, and obviously not happy if they don't win 2 out of 3 in this series. 57-58 are the Arizona Diamondbacks. And I'll actually look up where the Diamondbacks started this season. Like how good of a start they got off to. This feels like they're the 2021 Padres. They got off to a great start, and they are just collapsing. So losing a series here to the Diamondbacks, and they play them again next weekend at home, not being able to take advantage of this would make this even worse than what it is right now. 52-39 the Diamondbacks were in the first half of this season. So, meaning like going up to the All-Star break. Post All-Star break, they're 5-19. 5-19. You can't lose these series to the Diamondbacks because it's time ticking off the calendar, and the Diamondbacks are just a bad team right now. And you might say, well, Padres they're a bad team too, Ben. And okay, that's fair. But if they want to be a postseason team, you cannot have these spans of time where you can't have a 6-game losing streak, right? They're at 4 games right now. You can't keep losing games. You got to play with the urgency. Whatever that means, playing as a team, you got to do that, like Juan Soto said. Whatever it means to grind and push instead of giving up, you got to do that. Especially against teams like the Diamondbacks that are ahead of you in the wild card standings. Despite them sucking, they're ahead of you. Go get ahead of the Diamondbacks. Go be ahead of them. By the end of next weekend, be ahead of the Diamondbacks. Start playing better baseball. And be a couple games back of a wild card spot. Do that. Show that fight. Because I think some fans would say it's in there. Some fans might say it's not. But prove those fans that don't believe in this team, like me, that's where I'm at right now. I just don't see this team going there. And I said it before the trade deadline as well. I don't see this team going all the way. I don't see them being a postseason team right now the way things are going. Prove fans like me wrong. I love to be wrong. Prove us wrong. And start playing better baseball. Get above Arizona. Take advantage of these other teams not playing good baseball that are ahead of you in this wild card race. And go make the postseason. But it's not going to be easy. They're going to have to play really good baseball. And that's going to start with taking 2 out of 3 here against the D-backs. All right. That's Talking Friars episode 442. I know I was rambling a lot there, so I apologize if you were confused by anything I said, or if you thought I was dragging it on too long. Yesterday was an off day, and there's the quotes that were said on Wednesday, and just where this team is at, it still leaves me just confused about what the heck is happening, why it's happening, what needs to change. The comments that the players are making, they say they know what's wrong. They say what they got to do, but then they don't do it. Like, why aren't they going and doing it then? It's just kind of confusing right now. All right. Have a great rest of your day. Pre-game thoughts before the game tonight, and then post-game reaction as well.